Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Musical People and Journeys, the rock album review show, episode 5. And we are reviewing the latest rock albums. Welcome to my amazing panel, to Paul, to Nate, to Chris, and to Trish. Welcome, guys!
Good morning. Hi,
everyone.
Bookkeeper, first of all, please like and subscribe to our channel if you like what you hear. How the structure of the show works, we are going to review 2 albums and we're going to pit them head to head, rate them out of 5. If they score more than an average of 4, they get into our Hall of Fame. Maybe even to qualify for our Album of the Year show. Last year we reviewed 157 albums, so we've got a long year ahead of us. Wonderful rock music to come. But in the meantime, today we are head to head with Dominion, their album Hey Living People, and Sons of Eternity, The End of Silence. Let's start with Sons of Eternity then. It's very hard to find any information about these boys and on there, but the only thing I can find is a little blurb about themselves saying this is the only striking text for first track of a debut disc album, Sons of Eternity, but also at the same time a motto melodic power metal band from Germany. Fast guitar riffs, precise rhythms and critical lyrics make the stage tremble and ensure flying hair and raised fists. Now, somebody who will always look to raise a fist, of course, is our lovely Trish. But we're not going to start with Trish. We'll start with Chris. We haven't started with you for a while, Chris. Chris, are you going to raise a fist to the Sons of Eternity? What were your thoughts about these guys?
I like this album. It's the range of the singer is pretty awesome. He can go right up high and clear, and then back down into the music as well. So certainly from a lyrical standpoint, and the way that this guy sings is amazing. The guitar, as we already mentioned, is pretty good too. The whole thing as a package just comes off really well, especially for as I understand it, this is a debut album, and they debuted really, really well. There is some stuff in there that's kind of aiming towards either political or sort of current overtones with climate change and stuff like that. So Travellers in Time is effectively talking about we are travellers in time on a planet that is orbiting the solar system and everything, so we need to look after it. Media Zombies as well is talking about press intrusion, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of layers and tones to it. When we get into things like Ruins, which is later on, kind of changes the tone. So there's a bit of variation in the pace of the album as well. And again, Ruins, brilliant showcase for this guy's singing talent. So you might guess, I kind of liked it.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Nate!
Hello.
Your cup of tea?
Yeah. Not even slightly. I'm gonna. Sorry, Chris. I'm gonna disagree with everything you said. I thought the lyrics were fine. They were fine. And I like a bit of a realism in metal, certainly power metal. And by the way, we should say it immediately, but there's it's nice to hear power metal not singing about goblins, so that's good. I thought the guitar, so I thought it was really basic, really paint by numbers metal, just plumbing on a root note like bollocks. It's Fisher Price, My First Metal Album, innit, really. The drums sound like they were recorded in a wheelie bin. Like, there's just no excuse for having a drum sound that bad in 2023, which must have been when this was recorded. There's no excuse for it. You can't get away with that level of production on drums. Certainly in metal, where the drums are so much more integral to the feel and the brutality of the music. Really cliched tropes. When he soloed, he was good. The guitarist, I couldn't really make out the bass, which often happens on metal as well, unfortunately. When he soloed, it was fine, but I felt like the riffs were sort of stuck together with sellotape. It was like, I've written this thing and I've written this thing, I've written this thing. It was this. It's not songwriting. It's showing different riffs at different points. It's not conducive to good songwriting. So no, I fucking hated it. and I hope to never hear it again.
Well, we've missed him. Paul, let's talk about Sons of Eternity. What do you think?
This German band's first debut album is, I didn't think it was a power metal album. I thought it was a meat and potatoes heavy metal album, basically.
I agree.
But it's far from an average album. End of Silence was the album I needed personally to kickstart the year. The singer sounds like a cross between, Dickinson, Maiden's Dickinson, and Scorpion's Klaus. It's a heady concoction that is powerful, emotive, and full of energy, combined with the guitar work of I gotta say this name, Kirk Gessner, and ex Beyond the Black guitarist Rostner, and the fact that they took on modern topics for their songs, which we're going to hear later on in the show. Some of the band has not. This is a stellar album. I look forward to see how they actually move on from here, to be honest.
Oh wow! Okay, Trish, Sons of Eternity. What did did it float your boat?
I mean, this album definitely had tones of sort of 90s heavy metal to me. It was full of strong vocals, heavy riffs on most of the tracks, and then you're taken by surprise with a solo acoustic guitar on the track Ruins, which is just a beautiful song and breaks up the heaviness of this album and shows their versatility of music and style. While this is a good offering for this genre of the music, and I appreciate what they've done, it's a bit too heavy for me to have as a repeat listen or a go-to album. But for sure, fans of that genre will be in the eminence.
Okay, Ian thought it was an absolutely thumping heavy rock album, great vocals and harmonies, beautiful guitar solos, and epic production. He really enjoyed it. Enjoyed In Silence, Travellers in Time, Eye of the Storm, and Ruins were his favourite tracks. The thing is, when you like, there's a lot of people, a lot of bands. I love the fact that when bands come and we talk to them, say that they are evangelising and keeping the flame of 80s, 90s kind of rock music alive. Well, the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of bands doing that. A lot. I mean, and we mean, and when I narrowed down the list for us, I have to go through a lot of what I call generic kind of metal albums, and the one or two songs I listen to have to kind of stand out to get to the shortlist. So there are a lot of bands out there that play in this sort of trying to keep the band alive. So you've got to be good. You've got to be a little bit more, a little bit cut and above about. You've got to be better than average type of thing. And there's a lot of good things with this album, and there's a lot of it is stereotrope, but I like to think of it that rather than stereotroping their DNA is based in it. I would go more like towards the Scorpions kind of influences and stuff that they've got in there, and some of the positive is there's a lot of these albums do this ball gut-wrenching screamo or high-pitched screaming, and there was very little of that in this album. There was some in it, but there was very little of it. So his rasping vocals were toned it down a bit, and I really kind of liked that as well. It wasn't a perfect album, but it was a cut above a lot of generic kind of metal albums played in this space, but there wasn't anything new there. There wasn't anything different. There wasn't anything like, oh wow, not heard that before, which is what we get with a lot of symphonic kind of metal, that they're bringing in something a bit new and different that you may have not heard before. So it was a bit stereotyping in that fashion. But I thought, I'm not as technical as say Nate in terms of hearing poor quality in terms of drums. I thought it sounded pretty cool, and I thought it was a solid heavy rock album without setting the world kind of on fire on that score as well. So yeah, it's all right. It's good. I enjoyed it. But they're up against a band called Dominum. So listen a little bit about them. Well, emerging theatrical power metal unit Dominum was released their debut album Hey Living People this year from Napalm Records. Lead and songwriter producer Felix Held from Fair Fashion, Visions of Atlantis and more. So a bit of pedigree there. Telling stories of zombies, survival of insatiable hunger and more, creating your own intense and captivating reality. Today the band has unleashed a catchy opening track called Immortals Dominium, which is the starter of the album. Well, let's get straight to the crux of it. Nate, what did you think of Dominium?
Yeah, I was like intrigued immediately, if I'm honest, because I sort of thought, wow, this is going to be sort of like a blending of metal and like musical theatre. Actually, it reminded me a lot of like Panic at the Disco's early kind of stuff, which in itself had that sort of theatrical vibe to it. So it drew me in. They did really well with that immediately, and then it just kind of got kind of boring, like kind of samey. Like, yeah, there didn't appear to be like another gear. As you know, I sort of think the concept of albums is largely dead or dying anyway. So I feel like if it had been like even like a 4-track EP, it probably would have held my attention a bit longer. Again, power metal is as bad, if not worse, than Christian rock. So there's that issue. They're playing the wrong genre, but also the guitars sounded really muddy to me. Like I couldn't really pick out decent riffs or notes because of the, I would suggest, overuse of overdrive or distortion. It really kind of a fuzz, so it left the keys and the synths to do a lot of the heavy lifting, which is not a bad thing in particular, but I think you do lose that sort of heavy edge when that sort of happens. I reckon it'll be, I think again this was like their first album or close to. I think it'll be good by album 3, because I think someone will get involved, like a producer will get involved and be like, no mate, like these songs are too long, like you need to trim this down and sort your levels out. Other than that, their Spotify bio actually literally made me like wince. I sort of cringed away from the words they'd written. Yeah, it's nice when they're trying to do something different. By the way, you just talked about people, trying to add and do, different and new things, and yet you claim to hate prog metal, which is very strange. So it is nice that they're trying to do something different or a wee bit different. Obviously, it's only different if you haven't listened to Meatloaf, but other than that, it's fine.
I don't hate all prog metal. I just hate prog metal that's just slow. Some of the albums we listened to last year, which is more that heavy melodic kind of prog metal, which I really quite like. Anyway, okay, Paul, Dominion.
So as you've already mentioned, the singers of Visions of Atlantis, and he's joined by Patient Zero on bass, Victor on drums, and Tommy on guitars. Despite
in the bin.
Yeah, despite being dubbed a power metal band, I found the whole thing to be infused with a pop essence, especially in the vocals, and a tongue-in-cheek lyrics and some whimsical, dreamy music to enhance the tone of the album. And at first, it was just like, okay, this is okay. But the album did actually grow on me. There's 3 covers, 2 of which, by the way, are bonus tracks. And I thought they fitted in with the whole theme of the album. Yeah, and I'm saying that because Nigel's like, oh, it's
they're not bonus tracks. Doesn't say they're bonus tracks.
Yeah, they are bonus tracks.
Nah,
if you buy the vinyl, it's just one. But if you buy the CD or whatever,
no one's buying the vinyl.
Exactly. I didn't review the vinyl.
But the more I'm listening to this, the more I kind of enjoyed the theme and the approach of, the whole ethos of some guy trying to cheat death and create immortality and create zombies and so forth. I just like the whole theatrical thing of it. In the end, the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it.
Right, Trish, Dominion, float your boat.
The cover of the album makes you think that you're going to experience something theatrical, exciting, with the way the band are dressed and the makeup of zombies and the living dead, like the way Visions of Atlantis are in the theme of the band with a distinct identity. With the opening track Immortalis Dominion, you are not disappointed with its beating drums and anthemic chorus. This was the last album I listened to for this podcast, as it wasn't released until the 29th of December. And boy, the best of days for last, for sure, for me. This album had me excited for this band and want to see them alive. Again, I feel like they're akin to Vision for Atlantis, and now obviously reading into it, they're on Napalm Records, which is what Vision for Atlantis were on. And they've set the bar high with their theatrical themed band, Out Metal. I love this album so much, especially the song We All Taste the Same. What a tune. This hits all my rock sweet spots, and I want to join the Living Dead party because they're rock.
Chris, talking about hitting sweet spots.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, so I really like this one as well. I confess, in the first few seconds of the first song, I was like, is this going to be an electronic album? Because it starts off with those first few notes of electronics, and then it goes into almost a sea shanty, and then the song actually kicks in. And that's it. That just, throw people off a little bit more, and then let's do the rock kind of thing. And it kicks up from there, and I liked it all the way through. There's, as has been mentioned, each of the songs has kind of their own little story to it, and it's kind of telling a particular aspect of it. Some of the videos are brilliant too. I've listened to Ice Nine Kills before, who do a similar sort of thing, especially when they went into their Welcome to Horrorwood stuff, where they start tributing each of the songs to a particular movie. And so that is something they do quite well. I am, as Trish is, I'm interested in seeing where they go next with it and how they progress. But yeah, so I really like this. I will say that I was fully aware of two of the covers on this album. I'm not so sure which one the third was, but yeah, so You Spin Me Right Around with Beds of Burning. I was not expecting to find a Midnight Oil, which is a Midnight Oil tribute, cover song on an album like this. I think they do a really good job of it. And so, yeah, I think that one in particular, I know Nigel doesn't like his covers. I have an entire playlist that is rock covers that I quite like, and both of those went on there. I do think Dope did You Spin Me Right Around better, but this is a decent alternative to the original or that. But I really like this. I'm interested in seeing them live if they come to the UK as well. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, really good.
Well, before I get on to things, Ian, absolutely adore this album. What's Happening in 24? It's only shown second in the first 4 albums of the year. Absolutely standing and generally going to be high up for running of my album of the year. Dominion absolutely stamped their own fantastic identity on it. And he goes on to say lots of really good things. Incredibly original songs accompanied by 3 breathtaking and beautifully crafted covers. Beds of Burning, You Spin Me Round, and Bad Guy, and all bring something new to the songs, blah, 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 bump it up to an 11. Well, as you know, I'm going to entirely disagree with that statement. If I'm going to listen to an album, I want originality, and this is not original, follow when the beds are burning. The next song is titled "Better Shoot Yourself," and after listening to "Beds Are Burning," I wanted to shoot myself. I just hated it, and there was nothing new to these songs. There was nothing different to them. Bad Guy, You Spin Me Right Round. It's just trash, absolute trash. Doesn't belong on an album. Hated it. And it then turned me off. It then turned me off to the whole album because, then I started listening. I listened to it again and think, well, am I missing stuff? Because I absolutely adore Visions of Atlantis. I love the way it's crafted, etc. as well. And the first few songs, and then actually, and I tell you what else I didn't like about it was, and Paul kind of pointed out the fact that it was kind of more poppy, and it felt to me like some of the riffs were from this old kind of classic 80s stuff, and he tried to modernise it and bring it to it, and it just didn't work for me at all. I just couldn't get myself into the album. Normally the sort of albums I really, really like, and it wasn't just because when I listened to the first 5 or 6 tracks in itself, without then going to the latter half of the album where I just don't want to listen to because I'm just going to skip those tracks. Whether they're bonus albums or not, for me a bonus cover album is right at the end of the album. And I know the last 2 covers are at the end of it, but they're almost forgettable. But Beds Are Burning, You Spin My Head Right Round was just I just couldn't get that vibe that they were trying to do in terms of the musicality of it. I love symphonic rock, and this wasn't that, and it wasn't. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't just couldn't get myself into it. And I did try it, and yes, obviously the covers kind of blew that for me as well. And I don't mind a cover as long as it's something different. But you can't tell me that You Spin Me Right Round and Bad Guy and the other one was any different to what the original was. It just wasn't. Not for me personally, anyway. And I want to listen to an album that's full of originality and full of their own material. And I understand that the record companies think that that's going to help them sell more records, particularly on a debut album, and I appreciate that. But for me personally, no, it doesn't do anything for me, and then just switches me off a little bit from the album. So.
Also, three covers on a debut album. It screams we haven't written enough songs.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, they could have just kept it to 10 albums or 10 songs with one cover in there, but 10 would be enough.
And I can say to you, Nigel, I'm with you when a band has to. A record company says we want a cover to promote it on radio, and they're forced to do one, and some try and do a good job of it, whatever. It's just that on this particular album, I thought the 3 tracks fitted in with the theme of what they were trying to do. So Beds Are Burning. It didn't have it wasn't about oil being burned. It was on about people just laying there while the world is burning, while zombies are running around the place and what have you. So I thought the songs were very in line with the theme that they were doing, and that's what would made it different. But that's my opinion. And
I accept that they strategically put a cover in to enhance the theme of the album. I still hated it. I hate Beds Are Burning. I mean, I really hate Beds Are Burning. It's one of my if I even heard the original, I'd turn off. And I adore Billie Eilish and Bad Guy. That album was fantastic. And this was not a good cover of Bad Guy, in my opinion, either. But anyway, that's my humble opinion. So. Right, well, let's find out which one we're going to buy, and let's find out if anything is going to reach the hallowed Hall of Fame. Okay, Sons of Eternity, Trish.
3.
Chris.
3.5. I would like to give it 3.75, but I can't say 3.5.
Well, that's 3.5. Nathan.
Doesn't quite warrant the 4.
1.
Ian gives them a 4.5. Paul.
A 4 from me.
4 from you. It was a 4 from me. Solidly good rock album. But anyway, so 7, 10.5, 11.5, 12, 16, 20. So that's solid. I think it probably might just about creep into our top 120 or something like that. Okay. Dominion. Trish.
Bye.
I can hear the tattoo gun warming up as we speak.
That's funny. Chris.
A 4.5. No tattoo for me.
Nath.
Yeah, 1.5, and the 5 is because it was interesting at the beginning.
Okay. Ian gives them a 5. Paul?
4.5 from me.
2 from me. First 5 songs were alright. Okay, so we're looking at 7, 11.5, 12, 13, 18, 22.5. So definitely top 100. Not quite getting to our Hall of Fame, but not far off. And I would buy Sons of Eternity. Trish would buy Dominion. Chris would buy Dominion. Nate, you would also buy Dominion. Ian would buy Dominion, and Paul would buy Dominion. So somehow a semi-cover album wins the Battle of the Bands. But there we are. What do I know? Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for joining us. Hey, if you like what you share, please like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much to my panel, to Nate, to Paul, to Chris, and to Trish. Thank you very much, guys. Keep on rocking. Keep safe. Goodbye.